Quite a few people here for a class on eye health. I don't know if you guys have anything specific you wanted me to cover. I basically am covering three main things, so we can talk more at the end if you have other questions. I don't know how long a class is going to be on eyes and eye health. I know you mentioned the dry eye thing, so I didn't address that in this class. But let's see, my history of eye health is that I, like so many people, and I see lots of people here with glasses, and maybe those who don't have glasses have contacts. I don't know. It seems like everybody has contacts or glasses these days. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, so when I was younger, I had contacts, and I wore them for years, and I hated them. It was just such a pain putting them in and out, and then getting dirty, and blah, 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 blah. So then I got glasses, and I didn't like wearing glasses, and I actually ended up getting the surgery, the radial keratotomy, where they actually... So talk about a freaky procedure. So this is a class on eye health. I know we're not starting normal, but so I go inside. I'll tell you this is just a funny story. I did it in the back of a semi-truck. This was a truck that traveled between 3 different cities. So it would go to Des Moines, St. Louis, Kansas City, and it would keep going to these different cities. It would set up in the parking lot of a grocery store, and people would go in and get their eye surgery done. Now, of course, I checked out the surgeon. He'd done like over 100,000 eye surgeries. He had a very good track record. But talk about a freaky procedure. I mean, you're laying on the table. Your eyes are wide open. You're awake. They slice your cornea. You go blind. While you're awake, you go blind. Yeah, I did this. Now, if I knew then what I know now kind of thing, right? But, I mean, praise God, so far, I haven't had any issues with my eyesight. I had that done over 15 years ago. I think I was 26 or so at the time when I had that done. And I have great vision. I have better than 20/20 vision. But, of course, now I know that, there's different ways to take care of your body and your health and your eyes and everything else. But it actually worked out for me. So I'm not going to, live in the past, and it's done, and it worked, and so be it. But I know a lot of people who that's not worked for, or their eyes have gotten worse after they've done it. That happened to you?
I had it done 25 years ago.
And it was bad news because your cornea has to heal back onto your eye. And like you're in excruciating pain for like a week as your eyes are healing and you can't open your eyes. And I mean, it's crazy that the thing, like, why I even risked doing that, I must have just like not even cared about anything because like, I go blind, who cares? I don't know why I did it, but anyway, this class is on eye health, eating by design, or healing by design. I get all my terms mixed up. So healing by design, eye health. So this is one of those things that's interesting. It's kind of like dentistry to me. We shouldn't need it, but we do need it. Optometry is the same thing. We shouldn't need it, but we do need it. Because I think if all of us were healthy and doing the right things for our bodies, that we probably wouldn't have eye problems. We accept eyesight problems as just normal. It's a part of life. You start to lose your vision. You get glasses. I mean, that's just what you do, right? But, as we've talked about with dentistry, for example, there's cultures all around the world who never have had dentists, who never had cavities because they lived off the land and they lived healthy lifestyles outside, and that wasn't an issue. It was a non-issue for them. Weston A. Price studied tens of thousands of people who never, ever had problems with their mouth or cavities or anything like that. Now, I don't know if those studies have been done for optometry and eyesight problems, and I'm sure throughout history people have gotten older and had eyesight problems or whatever, but I can guarantee you it's never been to the extent that it is now. Seeing most children needing eyeglasses when they're young, I was one of them. So clearly, probably, something's not right with that. And just like with any other part of the body, we believe in God. We believe in God's design. We believe in God's perfection. There's a lot of imperfections in us, even though God is a perfect designer. That's confusing to people, right? But we talk about how, we've strayed from God's original design. I don't think Adam and Eve, and maybe quite a few generations after that, would ever have even thought that they might need like some kind of corrective eyewear to help them see. So I don't know. We don't know this information. I'm just kind of having fun with it. But I think it's a problem of, I look at it just like any other part of the body, right? If I can heal a cut, why can't I heal my eyes? If I can get in a car wreck and break 23 bones and perfectly heal all of those bones, why could I not correct my eye or my eyesight? I do see people all the time, and you don't hear about it. I don't know if it's just not mainstream or whatever, but I hear people all the time, ever since I started taking such and such, my eyesight's better. People, when they fast, when they juice fast or do something like that, always they have clearer vision. I say that every single time. When I'm 4 or 5 days into a juice fast, I see farther, I see clearer. I'll never forget one time I was in Colorado, I saw a mountain so clear it looked like it was right up close to me. I mean, it's just amazing how our bodies do have the ability to see better, to smell better, to feel better. It just depends on how we're stewarding our bodies and what's going on with our bodies. So we'll talk about that a little bit with eyesight. I did an iridology training to learn about everything going on in the human body through the eye, but we certainly didn't learn about eye-related health issues. That wasn't part of our training. And you can see liver and all different kinds of things going on in the eye, but as far as somebody having glaucoma or something like that, that really wasn't part of iridology training. She does train ophthalmologists around the world, because if an ophthalmologist knows what to look for in people's eye, they can actually see health issues going on in people's bodies. I actually had somebody come to me who said, my ophthalmologist told me I should get some things checked out at the doctor because it looks like in my eye that I might have diabetes. And that person was very accurate. That ophthalmologist, I don't know who it was somebody here in Kansas City, but that was very accurate with what you could see going on in their eye with their pancreas and stuff. So it's just interesting. So I put the eyeball, it's just like any other part of the body. It's very complicated. It really is. It's an amazing, amazing creation. Okay, this is random. I'm throwing out a lot of random things today. But I'll never forget a book I read when I was trying to figure out God. This is just another random thought. There's this book I read that when I was trying to figure out God and who God was, because I've only known the Lord for 9 years now. It was called The Eye, the Egg, and the Earth. And it talked about how amazing and how intricate and how unbelievably detailed an eye was, and an egg was, and the earth was, and basically saying it's impossible for this to be random. It's impossible for there to be evolution. I mean, if you think of an eyeball, it works in perfect conjunction with every other part of the human body all at the same time. Like, how does that evolve? Like, it's just the silliest concept. But anyway, just how amazing the eye is. Trillions of these rods and cones that reflect light. It's just, to me, it shows the power of God. And there's a lot of scriptures related to the eye. The one the Lord highlighted to me when I went and studied iridology was Matthew 6:22. The eye is the lamp of the body, and if the eye is good, the whole body will be full of light. And you can see in the eye what's going on with a person's body and with their health. And so the other scripture, I had saved these to the end, but I mentioned them now. But it's interesting, too, to me, when Moses died, God made it very clear to let us know that his eyes did not go dim. Yeah. He was 120 years old, and God wanted us to know that his eyes did not go dim. And his strength was not abated. Look at that. Look at you guys on your scripture, getting it on. So, I just think that's neat. There's something special about the eye. Very clearly, there's something special about the human eye. And so, just like any other part of the body, it's subject to damage. It's subject to degeneration. I think if we don't take care of our bodies, just like our knees start to hurt and we start to get arthritis and we start to get this and that, we can start to get eyesight problems if we're not stewarding and taking care of our bodies properly. It has to have nutrition, just like anything else. It has to have hydration, just like every other part of the body. And a lot of issues going on with different body parts is poor nutrition or poor blood flow or poor hydration. And the eye is not going to be any different. And we've discovered certain things that the eye needs. That's why you can go to a health food store and buy eye products. And they can actually help people because there are certain specific nutrients that the eyeballs need. But I am more of a believer now, like in my health journey, that it's not so much people not having all the right nutrition. It's that it's us having too many of the wrong things that are congesting the body, cutting off the flow of blood and nutrients to certain areas to keep certain areas healthy. Is more of an issue. But it's both. You need both. An example I give people that, if we just think losing our eyesight's random and it just happens, and, well, what do? You just get glasses and you go on with life. And if you get glasses and go on with life, as you know, if your eyesight will continue to get weaker, your prescription has to keep getting stronger, right? So you're not actually healing or regenerating the body. You're just trying to compensate for what's happening. But an example is diabetes. Everybody knows what diabetes is. Everybody's heard of diabetes. And diabetes is an incredibly frightening, dangerous condition. And it costs people their lives. I mean, they have a super high risk of heart disease, kidney failure, all kinds of problems. But what's two common things associated with diabetes that happens? One is neuropathy of the feet, and one is retinopathy of the eyes. So why would that happen? Is that random that happens? No. And when a person is diabetic and they have so much sugars in their body that the body can't process it, and the insulin starts to get, the cells start to get resistant to the insulin, and the body systematically starts to break down at the extremities. And it starts to destroy the nerves and the nervous system. And the cool thing about the eye and why iridology works is because there are millions, literally every single nerve in the entire human body is connected at the eye. So that's why you can see everything going on in the human body through the eye. The pupil of the eye has millions of nerves connected to the brain and the central nervous system, the spine. And so it's not random when somebody with diabetes gets retinopathy. It's because of the lifestyle choices that is creating this overburden of sugars and things that the body cannot handle is starting to break down different parts of the body. I'm just trying to make the clear point that nutrition, and poor nutrition specifically with our kids, all growing up on the standard American diet, we all needed glasses at some point. At least that was my history, and that was most of the friends and people I knew. We all needed corrective eyewear at some point. I believe it's more of a condition of degeneration, of not taking care of our bodies. So, the three main things I wanted to talk about was an astigmatism. That's what I was told I had, an astigmatism. Have you guys heard of that? Yes. Okay. Almost everybody's been told they have an astigmatism at some point, right? Glaucoma and cataracts. Those are the three main ones I was gonna touch on. And when I talk about glaucoma, I can probably throw the dry eye thing in there because it would be a similar concept. So an astigmatism. So I guess the first question is, because I read this really interesting article, and I don't like to just read other people's stuff and just present it like it's fact. I like to give people information. But I read this article about, does the eye really change shape? Because that's what we're all told. Well, you got an astigmatism, your eye changed shape. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. This article was saying, well, that's kind of silly because your eyeball's in an eye socket and it's made of bone, and unless you got an injury or damage to it, how would your eye just change shape? He was giving a different reason why that happened, which I do believe that there's some truth to it. But regardless, if the eye is changing or not working the way it's supposed to, or it is getting weaker in some way, the question is why? Why? So the eye is controlled by muscles just like any other part of the body. And so there's muscles called ciliary muscles that help, ciliary, ciliary muscles that help the pupil to contract. And so when muscles in the eye get weak, then the eye can't adjust and focus and refract light properly, just like any other part of the body would get weak, your muscles would get weak. It's not going to work the way it's supposed to work. And so that was kind of his theory. He's saying it's really not that your eye changed shape, it's that your ciliary muscles are getting weak and therefore not reflecting light properly or working properly. And that makes sense to me, because any muscle in your body gets weak, you need to strengthen it for things to work properly. And so, like I said, how much do we really need if we knew there was a way to correct this through nutrition or whatever, would we all just default to getting glasses like right away? Like, that's kind of the thing. Again, we just assume, again, it's degenerative and you have to get glasses, you have to wear contacts, and that's just life. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you can go your whole life, 40, 50, 60 years wearing eyeglasses and contacts and live a perfectly normal life and all is well. But I guess I really love God's creation and God's design, and I like to see things restored back to how God would have them, and not just for myself, but for future generations. If I can have XYZ issues, but see God restore my body and my health and not pass those things on to my children, that's what gets me excited about health more than anything, is having more purity and more health in future generations. And what we've seen is just totally the opposite. This degeneration and weakness in children. And that's what's continuing to happen. So what happens is so here again, I'm not presenting this as fact, but it does make a lot of sense, is if your eye is a series of muscles working to stay strong, what would make them weak? What in our civilization, in our culture today, would make your eyeballs weak? You guys know this. Televisions, laptops, computers, Facebook, and we wonder why we have vision issues. People staring at TV screens all day. And if you look at it from the muscular standpoint, well, the muscles work harder when they get worked. I know that sounds silly. So when you force the muscles, just like with anything, your body gets weak if you don't use your muscles, right? I mean, you can just walk every day, and if you haven't walked in a long time, your muscles hurt, right? I went and did a bike ride. I popped the girls in the little thing, and I went all the way to the View out to Meadowmere Park from our house. And I was like, the next day, I was like, I'm kind of sore, because I hadn't used those muscles in a long time. Well, the same thing with our eyes. If we stare at up-close computer screens all day, every day, our eyes are going to get weak. Why wouldn't they? Because they're actually designed to see things long vision. We might not have vision like a hawk or an owl, but we can see a mountain 30 miles away, And so one of the things he talked about in this little article I read is that how the ciliary muscles are always in a state of contraction, because we're always looking at things up close, we're always looking at computer screens. Our eyes are getting weak, the muscles are getting weak, and that's what's causing us to have to get glasses. And so what we need to do, and you guys might have heard this, I'd heard this for years, maybe it's just because I'm in the health community, but you need to exercise your eye muscles. And the way you do that is you look at things at a distance. Have you ever heard that? Like if your eyes get tired when you're looking at a computer screen, look at something outside that's at a distance for a couple minutes and kind of go back and forth. And so you're actually exercising your eye muscles. Now, how many of you are now going to, on a regular basis, start to exercise your eye muscles? Maybe none of you, I don't know. But I'm just letting you know that this is, again, I would just say it's a product of our modern culture. And this is why we have so many issues we have today that we didn't have generations ago. Because people were outside, and sometimes they were looking at the cow that was right here, and sometimes they were looking at the cow that was in the field 100 yards away trying to get them inside. You were always using your vision and your body in God's natural environment. You weren't inside all day staring at things close up. And so I'm just saying that this is something that can make a difference. Get your kids outside and not inside, playing video games, staring at computer games. Same with us. I sit at a computer a lot of the day. And I know a lot of people it bothers their eyes when they stare at computers all day, and they have to put eye drops and different things in. TV, obviously a very dangerous thing. all those fake lights and flickering lights, and just also what it does to the brain and the mind and the nervous system, but also the eyes. So a couple of things you can do are those types of exercises, and you can research it on the internet. There's all kinds of crazy exercises that people do. So you can alternate looking at things up close, looking at something in a distance. It will actually exercise your eye muscles and make your eyes stronger. So just like any other part of the body, if your eyes get stronger, then you're not going to need glasses. The other thing you can get, and I don't know much about them, but they're called pinhole glasses. Have any of you heard of those? Okay. So they're eyeglasses. They're glasses that you put on, but they have little pinholes in them. And it basically forces your eyes to have to focus on things. So it's like constantly working your eye muscles to be able to focus on things through pinholes. There's literally little tiny holes. Maybe it's kind of like a fly. You know, have you ever seen a fly's eyes and it's got like all those little holes in it? So that's what it is, called pinhole glasses. So if anybody wants to, to look into that. Okay, glaucoma. Glaucoma, we can actually see when somebody's had a surgery. When I look at somebody's eye in an iridology picture, you can actually see the hole where they punctured the eye to relieve the pressure. And so glaucoma is a buildup of pressure in the eye, and specifically something called the aqueous humor, but it's a part of the eye where this fluid builds up and it doesn't drain out. And so if it's filling up and not draining out, the pressure's building. It causes this dense pressure or pain behind the eye that people will take medications for, they'll take drops for, and when it gets bad, they'll actually do a surgery on the eye to basically put a hole in this area to relieve the pressure so that it can drain. Where I've seen success with people with glaucoma is working on the fluid systems of the body. If you look at other systems of medicine, they will tell you what they believe causes these different eyesight issues. If you look at Chinese medicine, they'll put all eye issues, they'll tie it to the liver, which makes sense to me because the liver filters blood, and blood is what supplies nutrients to every part of the body and what removes waste out of the body. So if you went to a Chinese doctor and you had any kind of eye problem, he would probably work on your liver and your blood because they've had results doing that for thousands of years. It's interesting to me, the connection between the liver and the eyes, because people that have liver problems and people that have gallbladder problems, when they get headaches, they're usually behind the eyes. You can feel your headache in and behind your eye sockets. So there's clearly a connection between the liver and the eyes. What I look at, it's a similar concept, but I always look at kidneys when it relates to glaucoma, and now I've really been more into the lymphatic system. So looking at kidneys and lymph. Now again, if you think about this, it makes sense. Your eyes have to be hydrated and they have to be lubricated. We have something called tears that we've all cried at times for various reasons, for happy things and sad things. And so it's part of the fluid systems of the body. And the fluid system of the body is kidney and lymph and blood. So as I've said in classes over and over again, and I firmly believe this, and I don't know where the Lord's going to take it with me. I know He's going to take it to depths that I have no comprehension of because He's the Lord and I know nothing. But the life of all flesh is in the blood. I've said it many, many times. So the Chinese are treating eyesight problems with working on the liver, which filters blood. I see great results with people, hear people all the time, oh, my eyesight's better, I'm seeing more clearly, by working on the kidneys and the lymph. Well, what's the job of the lymph? To clean blood. The interstitial fluid pulls waste out of the blood, and that waste is moved out through the kidneys. So regardless of its Chinese medicine philosophy or other people's viewpoints on how they're getting good results with working on the eyes, I believe it does come down to the blood. And it does come down to the purity of our blood. And working on these systems that help cleanse the blood and cleanse the lymph and work on the kidneys. Because again, if you're talking fluid systems of the body, think high blood pressure. Okay, high blood pressure to me is almost like a no-brainer anymore. I see people with high blood pressure medications, they're on 2, 3, 4 meds. It doesn't matter. It's so easy to get off of that stuff because it's the fluid systems of the body. It's their diet. You got to look at diet, hydration, different things, but it's the kidneys and the lymph not being able to fully remove all the waste out of the body that's causing the blood pressure to build up. It's a buildup of fluids in the body. Weight gain for a lot of people is a lot of fluid weight. Water retention, you've heard that, cellulite, whatever you want to call it. But swelling, different things. It's a relationship of this fluid system of the body. And so what I feel like needs to be done, and this would go with dry eyes or glaucoma, is actually clearing out the fluid systems of the body, getting the waste, getting the kidneys opening up and filtering, which I've talked about many times, and we have the kidney cleanse, and you want to have cloudy, stinky, what's the other word? Sediment-filled urine. So you're getting waste out of your body. You got to get the lymph cleaned out, which takes months, if not years, of dedicated life changes because the body's tens of thousands of miles of tubing, and it takes time to clear all this stuff out. And but what you'll do when you start working on your kidneys, not only will your blood pressure come down if you have high blood pressure, but if you have glaucoma, that pressure will go away. It will relieve because the fluid systems of your body are backed up, and that can affect different parts of the body. So I've talked about this before. I'll just throw this concept out again just so everybody understands. What's happening in the body with different health issues is all the same thing with different names on it. So you have fluid retention in your body. You have the fluid systems of your body backed up. Some people, it's resulting in edema and their legs are swelling. Some people get the high blood pressure. Some people get the glaucoma. Some people women get the lumps in their breast. It just depends on how it manifests and what part of your bodies are weakest that these things are going to start to occur, and modern medicine is going to put a name on it, so you can diagnose your illness and then start to treat it with their, not so fun treatment options. But it's all the same thing. It just depends on how it manifests. So you might have weak eyes, or maybe genetically all your family's had eye problems, and so you already have a weakness in that area. We don't live the proper lifestyle and do things to take care of our kidneys or our lymph or our blood or our liver, and so the system starts to get backed up, and then these things start to manifest. The good news is every single one of these things can be reversed through cleansing, through cleansing the body, through relieving the fluid systems. So I love the idea of working on the liver and the blood, but I also really like to look at the kidneys and the lymph for glaucoma. Let me see. So yeah, I talked about things to do for that would be obviously exercise, getting blood flow, getting movement, getting your kidneys opened up. So do some kidney and lymph cleansing. Do things that increase circulation in the body, like cayenne pepper and other spices and things that help with circulation. But a diet of raw fruits and veggies, which I continue to promote because it's going to take pressure and stress off the system. It's going to relieve stress off the fluid systems by not eating heavy foods. Heavy foods burdens down the body. Digestion, liver, pancreas. The more bread and pasta and pizza and crackers and meat and cheese you eat, the more your blood is thick and heavy, and your liver's stressed out, and your pancreas is stressed out, and your gut is stressed out. And this is what's resulting in most people's sickness and degenerative illness. This is overconsumption of heavy foods that makes the blood thick and unhealthy. Again, you go back to Chinese medicine, it's about the blood, it's about the blood, it's about the blood. I knew a Chinese doctor when I worked in Las Vegas, and that's how they're trained, is to check the health of the blood. They can actually check the health of a person's blood just by feeling their pulse. Have you had that done? It's almost kind of freaky because they'll be like, yeah, in your childhood you had this, and I'm like, what? So it's really interesting what they can sense in the human body through the blood. And he was funny. I can hear him today. Like, he plays through in my mind like a record. He's like, no sugar. You no eat sugar. He was on it, you know. And but just he knew how damaging these things were and these foods were that we're eating. And Chinese medicine is very different. It's all about honoring your body and eating, sustaining healthy foods that are good for our bodies and nourishing future generations. And just hasn't been that way in America, unfortunately. It's been like an all or nothing parade party. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but raw fruits and veggies is what I was talking about. Taking the stress off of the fluid systems of the body. It's going to relieve glaucoma. It's going to help with dry eyes. If you got dry eyes, you're not getting hydrated. You're not properly hydrated. You want to get hydrated and you got really dry eyes, go on a juice fast. Allow the body to rehydrate through fresh fruit and vegetable juices. A lot of people with chronic dry eye have infections in their body, like fungal infections, yeast infections, and that is blocking their body from getting hydrated or getting well. The guy I worked with in Florida, who was a chiropractor who'd been doing this 40 years, said most of the people he worked with really bad chronic dry eyes usually had some kind of infection in their body. But I would say the same thing, though. Work on the fluid systems of the body if you have chronic dry eye issues. Because what's going to dry you out is, again, heavy food, cooked food, hard to process, digest, white flour, white sugar, all these standard American things. We have to be hydrated. I mean, doesn't it just make sense for our eyes to be not dry that we have to be hydrated? That would just make sense to me. I've had people who can't create tears, like they got blocked tear ducts. It's part of this system. It's part of this fluid system of the body. It's part of the lymphatic system. Same with tonsils and adenoids and sinus cavities. Like, this is all part of this mucosal fluid system of the body. So do the kidney cleanse, do the lymph cleanse, get those systems flowing. That's the key, flow. There's a lack of flow to a part of the body if it's chronically dry. There's a lack of circulation, there's a lack of flow, there's a lack of hydration. So you got to do everything you can to increase flow and circulation to the body. Cataracts. My grandma's had cataract surgery, and now they're like, it's no big deal. It's like a super safe surgery. We've done it 10 bazillion million times, and it's pretty low risk, and yeah, that's true. Get your cataracts removed, and life goes on. You can see again. So the lens of the eye becomes opaque. It becomes cloudy, and you can't see through it anymore. So again, that's not normal. It didn't happen with Moses. You might say, oh, Moses was an exception. He was a super awesome anointed man of God. Well, all of us are if we choose it, right? God wants God wants a Moses-type relationship with every single one of us. I can safely say that. I want that with the Lord. I'm just still in his way. I'm still working on it, but I'm still way too much in his way. But he wants it, so we'll keep working on it. But cataracts, the eyes getting cloudy, and so a couple of things that you'll read about it, just again, degeneration. And I've read a lot about calcification, how it actually calcifies these cataracts in the eye. So the question is, can you reverse it? Can you dissolve it? And I've heard about some things, and I've read some testimonials, and again, you never know what's real and what's not. And that's why modern medicine poo-poos natural health, because you'll hear something like, oh, that's not proven. We didn't do a study on it. And that's just anecdotal. Well, a lot of it is because grandma or grandpa did it and it worked. But, it's not like mainstream news. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas of some things that you can do to heal your eyes and maybe even dissolve cataracts. Oh, my gosh. There is a formula. I don't know the formula. I remember seeing it online one time. I saw a lot of testimonials on it, so I'm just throwing it out there to look it up. But I know it was a combination of like diluted apple cider vinegar, lemon, and honey. and it dissolves cataracts. Now, I have people do apple cider vinegar and lemon internally all the time. Why? Because it dissolves acids and calcium deposits and kidney stones and gallstones. So why wouldn't it work for cataracts? And I've read that it does. Now, I don't know the formulas, I don't know the exact ratio, but I know that there's recipes out there, but you know that internet, there's a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff. I'll tell you one thing that I've heard about for years. I've had people do it. I can't say I've had anybody do it with cataracts and know that it reverses cataracts. I've read about it. I read a testimonial about an 80-year-old guy who went to get his license renewed, and they said, I can't renew your license because I can see a cataract forming in your eye. And he was 80. And he was like still like spry, and he was like, no way, man. I'm not gonna get a surgery, and I want to get my license. And I had heard this before, and this is what he did. I had heard 1 drop, but he did 2 drops. He did 2 drops of castor oil in his eyes every night before bed. I'm talking 2 drops. You get a little dropper, 1, 2. Now, I had heard do 1 drop of castor oil in your night every night before bed. He did 2 drops. I'm just giving you information. And in 3 weeks, he went back to the doctor, 20/20 vision, no sign of a cataract, and went and got his license, and he was happy as bee. Great story. Is it true or not? I think it is, but I have also read a lot of other testimonials about castor oil. So I've had people do that with chronic dry eyes, with infections in their eyes, with different castor oil in the eye, and it actually has helped a lot of people. People get other issues like floaters in their eye, and they start seeing, lights and auras and different things in their eye. We just encourage you to do these things we're talking about. Go mostly raw with fruits and vegetables, even if it's 50% if it's new to you, if 80, 90% if it's not new to you, go for it. Do juice fasting. I believe anything can be healed through fasting. It's very biblical. I believe it's the way to get out of God's way because he designed us to be healthy and well and full of light. And it's the things we do and put in this vessel that blocks God from doing what he fully wants to do. Like our thoughts block what he really wants to do, so that the physical things we put in our body blocks what he really wants to do too. So I believe in fasting, because if somebody is like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my eyesight, I think I'm going to go blind, what would you recommend? I would be like, I'd say go on a juice fast until your eyes heal. And so I'm a big fan of fasting. Specifically, though, I'd highlight again the fluid systems of the body. Getting the blood healthy will get any part of the blood healthy. I don't care if you need to get your eyeball healthy, your brain healthy, or your big toe healthy. You need blood flow. You need blood flow. So that is super key. So the 2 drops of castor oil in the eye, you can look up things to dissolve calcium deposits. That would be things like apple cider vinegar, lemon, honey. Dr. Morse has a formula called eye wash. That's a pretty cool formula where you dilute it and you blend, you make this tea, and then you put this eye wash in your eye. And people have seen results with getting, I don't know if any major like cataracts or anything, I haven't heard of that, but people who get things in their eye, they get their eye damaged. People get their eyes really damaged from like sun or dust or wind, or get it scratched, or a cat scratches. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen to our eyes. And so this eye wash will actually, they can put it on their eye and it'll actually heal eye issues. And there was, when I was researching some of this specifically to cataracts, I found out that what they do in Ayurvedic medicine, which is in India, is they will make a tea out of triphala, which is an herb. It's called triphala. And they will make a tea and then an eye wash with the triphala tea and actually put that in their eye, or sometimes they'd make poultices and set it on the eye. I've heard of people doing like green tea in the eye. I'm not sure what that does. Maybe it's just for wrinkles. I don't know. But the triphala tea, they say will restore eyesight and will heal cataracts. So bottom line is God's given us things to heal our bodies. I do think it's more internal, what we do with our internal health, than it is external. But there are things you can do, especially like direct on the eye if it's damaged. So for eye nutrition, let me see what I didn't cover. Fluid systems of the body, kidneys and lymph, absolutely crucial and key. The liver, Chinese medicine connection to the blood, I mentioned that. Carotenoids. Okay, so we've all kind of heard about carotenoids, right? Never heard of carotenoids? Carotene, beta carotene. Yeah. So carotenoids, good for the eyes, right? Carrots, good for the eyes. I mean, you'll read stuff that say carrots are really bad for you, and everybody's got their opinion, but I think carrots are good for the eyes. Many people have seen their eyesight restored by juicing and going on, again, juice fasts. Maybe carrots were involved with part of that juice fast because there's lots of beta carotene. Because you need vitamin A, and if you don't know it already, if you take vitamin A at a health food store, most likely it's synthetic, because there's not really a good there really isn't a natural source of vitamin A. Your body makes it on its own if it has beta carotene. So there's a conversion process that takes place through beta carotene to create vitamin A in the body, which means you need to eat things rich in beta carotene, basically. So this is carotenoids. So what's a carotenoid? Carrot. What's another one?
Yeah.
Peppers. Yams would probably fit in that. Anything that's orange, yellow, bright colored. Peppers, like cayenne peppers, would have carotenoids in it. All your bell peppers would. Eggplant would. I don't know what the whole list is, but all your greens do too. So all your kale, spinach, chard, all that super fun stuff. So the main eye nutrients that are known that people look for when they go to a health food store is zeaxanthin, Z-E-A, zeaxanthin, lutein, a lot of people have probably heard of lutein, and then astaxanthin, which I'm a huge fan of. Oh, I did do my little show and tell today. I brought castor oil. Okay, that's really good. Here's the eye wash. It's called Eye Health. But astaxanthin is one of the things I promote more than anything. Of all the years I've been in health, this is like the one thing I just keep taking every day. Everything else kind of switches up depending on what I'm playing around with. But this will keep you from getting sunburned. It's a really strong antioxidant, protects the whole body. It's good for the eyes, every part of the body. They actually have an eye product called iAstin. So I do promote this because it has alpha-lipoic acid, which is an antioxidant, eye bright, and bilberry, which are good herbs. It's got lutein, and it's got the astaxanthin and zeaxanthin. So this is a good eyesight formula that I give to people. And so those are the things people are looking for in food, through the carotenoids, or in supplements. You can take cod liver oil. So again, there's no natural, quote unquote, natural sources of vitamin A. But why does cod liver oil have vitamin A in it? Because the liver stores fat-soluble vitamins. So a fish converts nutrients into vitamin A, which stores in that fish's liver, and then you eat that fish liver, and you get vitamin A, right? I mean, that's what you do when you drink cod liver oil or eat cod liver oil. So a lot of people are big on cod liver oil. I used to be big on cod liver oil. I'm not as big on it anymore, but it does contain lots of nutrition, lots of vitamin A, lots of vitamin D. You know, some people were tortured with it when they were kids by their grandparents, and maybe they don't do it anymore. But back then it was like, yeah, it was good for you, you just take it. So there is a high amount of vitamin A and vitamin D, though, in cod liver oil. Why? Because the liver stores fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, E, and K. So spirulina, I'm not sure which way you say it. But spirulina naturally has occurring crazy amounts of beta carotene. Crazy. So everybody knows carrots, good for you, good for your eyesight. You cut open a carrot, it looks like an eye. That's the doctrine of signatures that they call it. God made things in nature that look like certain things that are good for us because he's a really awesome designer and he wants to be discovered. Spirulina, have a pamphlet on it. It shows that it's 3,700% more. So what's that? 370 times more beta carotene than carrots. And many people argue that this is the most nutrient-dense superfood on the planet. It's dark, dark green, so it has the power of the sun. It captures the sun. That's why it's so green, the chlorophyll content. the beta-carotene content, the vitamin mineral content. So I'm a fan of spirulina. We've been... It doesn't taste bad. Yeah, it really doesn't. We've been throwing it in our smoothies and shakes and stuff for years. Chlorella, I don't know, I think tastes a little better. But chlorella, spirulina, especially once you get used to them, they're not so bad. And you can get it in tablet form. You can get it in all different kinds of forms. Wheatgrass, any kind of greens is going to have high amounts of nutrition and things that are good for the eyes. And citrus, that would be another one that would be good for nutrients for the eyes. Lemons, limes, oranges, dark leafy greens I mentioned. All your dark colored berries are going to be great for the eye. So again, all raw fruits and vegetables are what we're talking about that are going to be good for restoring eye health. So all dark colored berries. And the last thing is I will mention one other food that's not a raw fruit or vegetable. It's egg yolk. Because egg yolks actually have all of these nutrients that we're talking about. The lutein and the zeaxanthin. And so a lot of people know that egg yolks are very high in nutrition. And that is where all the nutrition is in an egg. It's in the yolk, not in the white. The white is just protein. But here's the kicker. What they say is, if you want to get nutrition out of an egg yolk, you have to eat it raw. Now, it doesn't mean you have to, like, crack it open and, like, crack a raw egg in your mouth, right? But I got away from this. But for quite some time, when I would make a shake or a smoothie, I would just crack an egg, and I would just put it in my smoothie and blend it up. And see, you're frowning, but you would never know. I could make you a smoothie right now. You'd never know there's a raw egg in it. But I used to do that, and a lot of places, some of the healing institutes and different places promote that, but I'm just throwing it out there. That you can throw a raw egg or just an egg yolk in your smoothie, get lots of nutrition, get all these nutrients, but once you cook it, it's all gone. So if any of you are excited in that, go for it. Exercise and blood flow I mentioned. And that's really all I had for eye health. I'll just go back to those scriptures. Like, eyesight's really important to God. I mean, I love everything God designed, but as intricate and amazing as the eye is, and as many scriptures as there are about the eyes and being blinded, and that physically we need our sight, but spiritually we need spiritual eyes. We need eyes of heart, Ephesians 1:17. You know, we really need to be seeing clearly God and the things of God. So there's really something special and supernatural about eyes and eyesight that I really think we don't know anything about. And so I love the scriptures that point that out, like I mentioned, Matthew 6:22 and Moses, where God talks about him being 120 and his eyes didn't go dim. So I really want to take care of my eyes, and I have had the LASIK surgery. So be it. But I'm still going to take care of my body and hopefully my eyes and not have any more future vision problems. So I don't know if any of you want to experiment, but there's quite a few people here with glasses. So all I want you to do is go on like a 60-day juice fast. Yep. I'm just playing with you. Do like a 60-day juice fast. Take all these nutrients for the eyes, and not only we completely probably heal and restore your physical body of all kinds of issues, but I'd like to see if your eyesight comes back. It sounds crazy to people, but there's people out there doing it. There's websites out there of people doing 30-day, 60-day, 90-day juice fast. People going all raw.
That's all you eat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are doing it out there. Sadly, most Christians aren't, and they're the ones who should be. Because if we restore health to these vessels that God gave us, we will hear more clearly from God. A lot of people don't like it when I say those things, but I believe it's true. I've experienced it to be true, and a lot of people I work with, it's true. Because God does honor us cleansing and taking care of this vessel. It only makes sense. People just don't want to hear it. People want to think they can just eat and do whatever they want, and everything's all right with the world. It's really not. It was never God's intention. I mean, my intention with my children is never to just let them do whatever they want and just hope everything works out. It was never God's intention with us, and that includes with food. So I will stop there before I get into realms I shouldn't. You had a question?
With regards to the sunlight getting into our eyes, is that naked eye or does it count with contacts?
Good question. sunlight getting into the eye, I say ideally would be naked eye. You can check with your manufacturer of your lens, of your contact lens, but a lot of contact lenses now come with UV protection. And I don't know if a lot of them are just, if that's the standard now, or if that's just some of them, that's like a bonus that they offer. But you might look into that. Now, regardless, even if you do have that, you're going to get some light into the eye because there's UVA, there's UVB, there's different types of light. But you could be missing getting the full spectrum of light into your eyes if you have contacts. Yes?
Is reading, a lot of reading, harmful to your eyes?
I don't think reading would be as harmful to the eyes as the lights of a cell phone and a laptop, because that's artificial light. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to say logically to me, I would say no, because it's not damaging your eyes like those artificial lights from cell phones and laptops and computers.
Which I do, my eyes get drier.
Yeah. Maybe just because you're using them more, and if you tendency to have dry eyes and they're not getting relubricated. So yeah, I don't know, take a break once in a while, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Any other questions? Yes.
When you're talking about the kidney cleanse and and the lymph cleanse, would you have to do the other cleanses beforehand?
Which other ones?
Like I think it's the
Colon?
Yeah, before the kidney.
It depends on you, because that's a common question that people ask, because we have colon cleanses, kidney cleanses, lymph cleanses, liver cleanses. You want to cleanse all those things, but I think it depends on where you're at and what's going on with you. If you have a history of bowel issues and you got a history of constipation, for sure do the colon cleanse. If you don't have major issues there or you never have, then you want to jump to a kidney cleanse, that's fine. Usually it's colon first, kidney second, lymph third. That's kind of the general order. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with going into a kidney cleanse. If people have issues with their bowels, or you want to make sure your bowels continue to move, you can always do enemas, or you can always take herbs or something to make sure everything's moving. Because even though you're working on your kidneys, a big portion of working on your kidneys is lymph, the lymphatic system, and a lot of that lymph tissue is around your gut and your intestines. So you can actually clear a lot of stuff out of the lymph system through enemas, even if you're just doing a kidney cleanse. So I am a fan of enemas in short term for cleansing, not obviously for the rest of your life, but as needed to cleanse. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions?
You mentioned that
Astaxanthin?
Yeah, you read along some things that it's especially good for her. Can you say that again?
Well, it's an antioxidant. We've heard that term antioxidant. So astaxanthin is an antioxidant. So antioxidants protect us against oxidative damage. So oxygen is this really interesting molecule that God created because it's absolutely like Genesis 2:7, breath of life, can't live without oxygen for more than 3 minutes. At the same time, it's killing us, right? So it's interesting. It's kind of this duality of life thing. But it protects us from oxidative damage. So the more toxic, congested food we have in our body, the more we exercise, the more things we do that create oxidative stress, the more we need things to offset that. And so that's what astaxanthin does. It's an antioxidant. So it's going to protect the heart, the joints, the muscles. There's formulas that they have they have a joint formula, they have an eye formula, and it's because those antioxidants protect the body. Where I like to tell people about astaxanthin is just my experience and other people's with the sun. Because if you're fair-skinned, you go out in the sun for too long, you get sunburn really easy. You peel, it's no fun. You take astaxanthin, all of a sudden it's like, I'm out in the sun for 2-3 hours and I'm tan. So it just shows how powerful that is at protecting the body. And it actually helps the body absorb more light to get more nutrients into the body by protecting against that oxidative damage. I can't explain all how it works, but I know it does that. They even have a little picture of a runner on the front of it because a lot of athletes take it. When I was at my other store in Overland Park, Cirque du Soleil, those not circus, I'd probably get in trouble if I called them a circus, Cirque du Soleil, but all these performers, these highly talented performers, they called me and they asked me if we carried astaxanthin, and I said yes, and they said, we'll take every bottle. And they came up and bought everything I had because all of their athletes take astaxanthin. because it helps with their muscles and muscle recovery. And so it's one of those things that's good for everything. That's why I just continue to take it every day. Like when we're getting ready to go to Hawaii, we make sure that we're taking it so they don't get sunburn when we're there. We get tan, because tan is good, burn is bad. Sun is good, burn is bad.
What about, like, I know sunspots, it's not terrible, but it's just, I noticed my dad got them.
Yeah.
I kept them.
Yeah.
Rather than just getting an even.
I know. I'll tell you my opinion on it, but I can never say that I know it definitively. But my understanding of a sunspot is that the sun is the essence of who God is. God is light. And when you go out in the sun, it actually pulls and draws toxins and impurities out of your body. I had a young child one time who came to me. The mom brought him because he got this rash all over his body. And the rash only occurred when he was outside in the sun playing soccer. And where he was covered, there was no rash, but where there's sunshine, there was a rash. The sun wasn't causing his illness. The sun was pulling toxins out of his body because he had a toxic congested liver. So all liver spots are liver congestion. It's just coming out of the body. The body's overwhelmed with toxins, is pushing it out through the skin. The sun just assists the process. Why did they wheel jaundiced babies who had liver issues into the sun to heal them? Because it heals the blood and it heals the liver. God is light. It's the essence of who God is. So if you're having liver spots or age spots or vitiligo or any kind of change in pigmentation, it's just to show that your internal organs need to be cleansed. They need to be healed. And when your internal organs are cleansed, then your skin will turn back to like a nice tan without all the spots. But it's just the sun pulling stuff out. It's not the sun being bad. The sun's never the bad. God's never the bad guy. We just blame him for everything because of issues going on within us and just a lack of understanding of how God designed us. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
I love the sun. I mean, it doesn't keep me from going. But
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, work on some juicing, some cleansing, some fasting. Go raw fruits and vegetables. See what difference it makes in your body and in your skin and how the sun absorbs into your body and into your skin. You might be surprised. So, all right, we'll call it a day.